Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu analysis video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening the MCQ lessons they come. Both the lessons are extremely important. Follow them religiously. PDF you are getting on daily basis on the Telegram channel there, and the paid courses by StudyIQ. Three important faculties: Gaurav sir, Prashant sir, Mahipal sir. Their most important videos as they come always, and in a more elaborative way, more descriptive way, and more updated way. These videos are available on this paid platform, and paid is just the label there. Otherwise 159 rupees per month is nothing, so that's really very important. Pocket News app is trending on Google Play. You can download that. Regarding these courses, the descriptions are given below the video. You can call on these numbers for all the queries regarding the cards and all. You can call on these numbers, and the chat section is available there. A lot of calls are coming, so sometimes it is difficult, so maybe you need to wait there, but the query will be solved for sure. PDF you will get here on this Telegram channel, which is given on this Facebook group. You can follow me on Instagram too, and some words that I found today, use them into sentences. First issue: India rejects RCEP e-commerce chapter. 2 days back we were discussing the data localization issue. RBI told these companies that put all your transactional and payment data on the local servers there, and that would be a important mandatory condition, but many of the companies they did not comply with that. Even the Visa, MasterCard, these companies too. So when this free trade agreement, the world's biggest free trade agreement as the RCEP is, it is going to conclude, then we need to discuss this very important aspect there. And data localization issue is extremely important for developing countries especially, but with this free trade agreement, that would be contrary to that demand of India. So we are gonna reject this e-commerce chapter here, because that need of data localization is something very crucial and very important for us, and we will not compromise on that situation. But anyhow, Mr. Piyush Goyal will be present there in this meeting. How they conclude these issues, that we will see there, because many articles will come on this issue, because it's not a simple topic and it's not a small topic, and many huge articles will come on this issue. So let's see. It means that basically India cannot be prevented from asking financial companies to maintain a copy of their data within India, but it is unclear still whether India can mandate that such data must only reside within the country. Means this thing is not clear till now, and can we put this restriction on the companies? That is to be seen here. Okay, so this issue is important for GS paper 2 and 3. Very important, because technology is involved, and the sovereignty issues are involved, because the data sovereignty is something that is becoming way more bigger now. And next issue from Nobel Prize context: Nobel Peace Prize is won by PM Abiy Ahmed, Ethiopia's Prime Minister. He assumed the seat there in April 2018, and there was a long ongoing issue with the neighbor Eritrea there. So a very important role he has played in establishing the peace between Eritrea and Ethiopia, and other important issues where economic reforms in the country, other social reforms he led there in the country. So he is getting all the praises for that, and this Nobel Peace Prize is one of the biggest achievement in this world, and it's something really very positive. Always this is given to those important personalities who laid this world towards the ultimate goal of peace. Kailash Satyarthi, Malala Yousafzai, they were given this award, and we know Kailash Satyarthi has been doing a lot for the kids, their rights, their life, to prevent them from abuses and all these things. So this is something, the most crucial goals for the humanity. So here he does something in his country Ethiopia, so that's important, so that may be asked. Okay, and the geography attached with this country Ethiopia and Eritrea, that you must know. Next issue: the auto sales slump continues. There were a lot of expectations from the month of September and October, but the things are improving, but not up to those expectations. Over 2.92 lakh cars were sold a year ago in that same month. Now only 2.23 lakh cars are sold. So there is a clear fall of 23.69%. And it is the sector of passenger vehicles. So SIAM, the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers body, that tells about that. And last month car sales declined 33.40%. And the sale was only 1.31 lakh units. Now this situation improved from the month of August, but that was very much obvious because the festive season is going on. A lot of offers are going on, so many people are thinking about that, but that is not that much a great improvement, and that is something not drastic, you may say. In October we may have drastic changes in that, but that will only last for this October month only. Okay, so that's the issue, and that is why these are signs of the distress that is going on in the economy, and immediate relief is not observable here according to all the experts. And when the sales are down for commercial vehicles, that tells the problem about the economic slowdown there, because commercial vehicles are used purely for the economic purposes, and where their sales are down means the companies, the businesses, they are not flourishing for sure. Next issue again related with it, 1.1% shrinkage is there in the industrial output. Annual survey of industry that comes after 1 year, and all the acts, all the ministries, they are referred there, and that's the most realistic data about that. But till that comes, before that we have a readily available data of IIP, Index of Industrial Production, that is released by CSO every month, and from a year earlier there is a contraction of 1.1%. Okay, there was a growth of 4.3% in the month of July, but in the August month this was a shrinkage, and these signs are again telling an issue that the bright expectations which are there for these months, September and October, they are only for the automobile sector. These sectors, and especially these core industries, they are struggling a lot, and not much expectations are there from these 2 months. So that's why there are no clear immediate signs of recovery, and we are continuing with that slowdown, and a lot of challenges are becoming large. Power sector is hit the most there. Now the issue of RTI, we had discussed some articles there. This issue came, and the way the amendment bill was brought up there, and it was passed, the amendment act was passed, and how they stripped off the autonomy issues and the security of tenure for CIC officials. That was clearly visible, and that was really problematic. That was a single institution that was upholding the accountability factor in this country, and in a time-bound manner they were supposed to give information. If that is not given, then the penalties were there. Now in this article we are observing that penalties are not given. Some states like Tamil Nadu, Sikkim, Mizoram, Tripura, they did not impose any penalty in any case at all, and that's really problematic. What it shows that there is no fear among officials if you do not provide the information according to the norms of the act. Means you are mandated to do that job. You have to give the information within the stipulated time, otherwise heavy penalties are there, but the penalties are not put up there. And only in 2% cases of total case disposed you are imposing penalties. That tells a lot about the present governments and the authorities workings, because penalties should have been imposed in around 69,000 cases, but out of these 69,000, only 2,000 cases there these penalties were imposed. So that's really concerning. And already that amendment which came, that stripped off the autonomy and the security of tenure there, and now these officials will be under some kind of a practical pressure, because they will have to comply with the central government's conditions, and they can be removed, they can be transferred anytime by the central government. So they will work under pressure, that's for sure. And that was the biggest problem with this case. And now these reports are telling a lot, that how they are creating this environment where there is no fear if you do not comply with the rules. So that's the problematic issue. Even with the Central Information Commission, till October 11, means yesterday, 33,000 pending cases were there, and the dates are given even till next 1.5 years. So what you can expect there, and what kind of accountability will be saved in this country, and that's really concerning. If the people of India does not understand that, then there are no hopes for better administration there, because the accountability fixes the right administration. Without accountability, it is no more a democratic way of running the governments and the departments there. Okay, you can see the information about the Central Information Commission. CIC set up under Right to Information Act 2005, a statutory body, and one Chief Information Commissioner will be there, and 10 Information Commissioners will be there. In the states, similar officials are there, and you see the problem which was observed by the officials and the government there, that CEC, Chief Election Commissioners, is a constitutional body and CIC is the statutory body. So how can they be equal? But they do not see the importance of CIC. It is way more important sometimes than the Election Commission Office, because the accountability factor is something which is totally lacking in this country. So that's why it is not about being a statutory body or being a constitutional post. It is about the role that they are playing in the democracy, and that is really, really important. They said that the conditions cannot be similar, and the security of tenure cannot be given to CIC there and the other officials. So that was the conflict there, and that was changed. So other additional details are given here. Now the issue, a social issue, and the problem of social media there. We knew about the Tabrez Ansari case. Videos came. Person was tied to the pole and he was killed there, and he was forced to chant some religious slogans, and the slogans were not from his own religion. So that became a huge controversy. Now people accused about the selective outrage again in the same manner when this issue happened in Murshidabad, West Bengal, where a family was killed, and the whole advertisement was like that a Hindu family was attacked, it was killed, and even the pregnant lady and her child and her husband, they were killed brutally, and it was all a religious and political issue. It's a political vendetta. But now police says that the person was an agent of some insurance company and in that chain, and he was in some serious financial crisis, and that was something the cause of the killing there, and they are investigating about that. But there is no video that is surfacing, just like the Tabrez Ansari case, but the parallel was created, and this is how they were trying to derail that process in that Tabrez Ansari case, because political pressures are something which are very huge in this country, and social media is very much efficient today to create these misconceptions and create those political pressures there. That was a case of creating fear among some particular communities and creating disorder in the society, and that could lead to a kind of a very, very dangerous social right situation. Here, this is also extremely objectionable. All the killings are abhorrible, but you see, the patterns are different, and they should be taken in their own originality. Tabrez Ansari case was a clear case of mob lynching. Their videos were available, that's why we could tell that much about that. Here, videos were not available, but the family was certainly killed, and that was killed in a very brutal manner. And the investigation tells that it can be a case of personal enmity, it can be a case of some mob lynching also, but we do not know about that. Even in that case, the investigation was going on, and the murder charge was also dropped. Okay, but we could tell all these things on the base of those videos which were available and which were spread intentionally to spread that fear. So that's why the pattern was totally different. But in both the cases, innocent lives were lost and they got killed brutally, and that is something really a huge problem in the society. So this issue is very important for GS paper 1 and GS paper 4. How situations can lead to these kind of killings, patterns are important, So case studies will be based on these patterns, and you need to understand these subtle differences there, and you need to be able to understand these patterns there, the kind of crimes which are taking place, because all crimes are not similar. Nobody is saying that that crime is nowhere inferior to that, but certainly the pattern needs to be understood there. The consequences of those killings, those are totally different. And the role of social media is extremely important. For the role of social media, you should write a mains question on that, and even the essay is important, and these points will be very much vital there. And in the GS paper 4, case studies will be very, very specific. They will be evaluating your ability to find these subtle differences there. So the design, the pattern, all these things you must recognize, because you will be sitting there on a very important position there. And if you generalize these things, and if you will be blown with these flow of social media and all these misconceptions, and the way they are trying to distort matters according to their wishes, according to their needs, these things are extremely important. So this was something to be discussed about, because it became a classic example of how the social media plays a extremely negative role, and the mainstream media, how they pose these things totally in a distorted manner, and they talk so loud that they try to impose in people's mind that these things are in the same manner as we are telling you. So the crowd and the shoutings, they are becoming very casual in this country. That's the problem. Okay, next, Arunachal NGO seeks one man one wife norm. This looks somewhat funny, but that's a really important social goal there, because in the rich tribals groups and some rich families, people have multiple wives, and that's totally against the gender equality norm. And Northeast is famous for its gender equality and its robustness and the matrilineal society, and that's really progressive, and it's way different from the rest of the country, where patriarchal society is the norm. But here these things are extremely good in Northeast regions, but following that norm only, this NGO is seeking that one man one wife should be the norm socially. It doesn't matter somebody is rich or somebody is poor. You cannot afford wives, means the economic power should not be the parameter there. Now, two important articles. We will club these articles, and we have been discussing the issues on India-China relations for the last 2 days. Now, today some additional points are there. Here, Stanley Johnny talks about the typical situation, geopolitical situation here. He says that we need good ties with neighbors. That's the first basis. We need to engage deeply with the extended neighbors. So that's the second important basis there. And the third one is balancing the situation between the great powers, the kind of dealing we have with all these powers. So we need to balance between China, Russia, America, and all other European countries, and immediate neighbors, as China is, Pakistan is, Bangladesh is, Sri Lanka is. We need to have best relations there. We cannot choose our neighbors, and that is our ultimate condition there. So that's why there is an issue. Issue is that we are stuck in a very complex situation there, and India-China relation, you cannot say it's a perfect strategic arrangement between these two countries. Article is talking about it as a tactical situation, a tactical engagement between these countries and different versions of it, because we have historical problems, mistrust, structural issues, boundary dispute, Pakistan factor. These things are there, and they never let the situations to be calm forever. Relations with Beijing, they are doubly critical, and you see, now we have a pro-American tilt in our foreign policy, so that also causes an additional problem there. So we have to make it sure that the disturbance is not there between this equilibrium, because always the India-China relations, the positivity, whenever it is there, it is all based on that equilibrium there. Recently, when we did this military exercise in Arunachal Pradesh region, that certainly provoked China, and that context is certainly there between both these leaders. Now we have to see some past here. Rajiv momentum, means the Rajiv Gandhi years in 1998. He visited Beijing there, and then the new era started. And after that, more or less, we followed the Chinese steps there, because what China did in 70s, 80s, 90s, that we could not do. And that's why the whole difference occurred between the India's growth trajectory and China's growth trajectory. China is way ahead of us, and in terms of capacity, China is way more bigger. In terms of military expenditure, China is way more bigger. In terms of space achievements, huge difference is there. China is building its space station there, but we will do it in upcoming decades. So there is a gap. And other issues, we will discuss these things in the next article, that what China did and what we did not there. Now, trade ties are improving. We have reached up to $95 billion, but that is more in favor of China. Today, the line says they do not share the antagonism of the conventional wisdom. Mamallapuram summit should be seen against this backdrop. Issue is that we are improving, but still issues remain. Doklam happened, but we came mature out of it. And BRICS summit we got involved in, and the Wuhan important informal summit in April 18. That was the great calming factor and a very positive one, and that showed the ultimate level of maturity between these two countries. Now that thing needs to be taken further. That's the ultimate need. It started with Rajiv's visit to Beijing in 1988, and since then issues have been more or less positive. Rivalries are there, but we did not involve in any kind of a big dispute. Although Doklam happened, but that was something unconventional. Now, as I was telling you, that this is more a tactical engagement, because the structural problems are there, so it could not get matured like any other strategic relationship. So they need to deepen this engagement further, and they need to convert it into a proper strategic relationship, and we are immediate neighbors. So the positivity is a prime need there, and the collaboration is a prime need there. Without that, this engagement can never go further. And if the collaboration is there, if the respect of the neighbor is there, then certainly this will be the golden Asian age. In the past, there was a golden age of globalization, and there China progressed a lot. Even America was so concerned that Richard Nixon paid a visit to China there, and today China under Mr. Xi is also a more assertive and confident power. They have managed their domestic issues very, very efficiently, and they have created a huge middle class in that country, and they started skilling their people, urbanizing their people, collecting people from rural areas and establishing them into urban areas. This is something that China did in 1980s, 70s, 90s, and that we did not do, and that's why we are way behind than China. Although the conditions were worse in China in 1949, but today we are way behind China there, and we are more or less following the Chinese steps. Although officially we do not say that, but some approaches tell us that there are ways in this world today. If you want to progress, then you need to go with a particular way, and when the cultures are involved, civilizations have their histories, just like the China and India both have, then things become typical, and that is why more or less we are following Chinese steps in some areas. So both US and China, they see India as a swing power. America, as I always say, wants to use India against China. It wants that India swing to its side and join its Indo-Pacific strategy that is totally working against Chinese dominance there. China wants that India does not go to that side. So today a unique situation is there. Mr. Modi's hyper-nationalist government taking an aggressive approach towards Pakistan, and because Pakistan is a kind of a negative factor for India, and China, that's why uses this card a lot, and more we are aggressive towards Pakistan, more is the use of Pakistan card by Beijing there. So that's the situation. If we have a better relation with Pakistan, then the use of this Pakistan card by Beijing will automatically subside. That's why Shiv Shankar Menon said that it's a bivalent relationship between India and China. They they cannot afford to be hostile against each other, and they will remain rivals there. They will keep vibrating. So we have to take it to the next level. Economic cooperation is the basis. That thing only can take these two countries towards a common goal there. Investments, that's something that we need today. China can do that. Since 2015, the investments are rising, and they are agreeing on some issues, like in the issue of working in third country. In principle, they have agreed. Now, in practical sense, we need to execute these plans. And as I told you, US will remain always a factor, and we have a pro-American inclination in our foreign policy. So that can provoke China, that can irk China there. But we both, India and China, both have similarities. They both are champions of multilateralism. So that thing must be focused on, and that thing must be emboldened in its spirit. Pakistan's issue, you see, Pakistan card is negotiable. Why? Because both these countries, India and China, they both know that they are bigger countries, way bigger than Pakistan. So because of Pakistan factor, they cannot distort their own relations. Their own factors may be there, but they cannot disturb important crucial things between them because of Pakistan. That's why Pakistan's leverage is available to China, and it uses according to its needs, but it will not distort all the things because of Pakistan. So that's why Pakistan's card has been negotiable. If we see the case of Masood Azhar, and if we see the case of FATF grey list, in both the cases, China supported India because we proposed the vice chairmanship of FATF to China. We said that we will support you. So that's why China agreed that Pakistan should be put on grey list there. Next, Masood Azhar case, where they tried to block it, but ultimately they had to compromise there, and China had to let it go. So in these two issues, this is clearly visible that Pakistan's card is negotiable, and Beijing has done U-turns on its iron friend, means the Pakistan, which it uses heavily. So now the need is that a doctrinal consensus must be there in this foreign policy thinking of India, and Chinese rise and its engagement with the US, which put America into pressure. We have to learn from that. As I always say, that even if you're a staunch enemy, if it is making progress with its hard work, with its passion, with its focus, then this thing is respectable. We need to respect that, because we need to recognize the originality there. If somebody is original in its performance, somebody is a real hard worker, then we need to learn from that, and we need to respect that. It doesn't matter whether it is a friend of yours or it is a enemy of yours. So China has done that, so we have to respect that. Many issues are there, environmental concerns are there, many other things are there, but China has achieved a lot, and today it is standing in front of America, and that thing we cannot do today, that's for sure. That's why America is more concerned for China, and it uses India it wants to use India as a tool, but we have our own strength, and we are also rising, but it will take time to reach up to that stage. So India should also turn the focus to its rise and capacity building, not on conflicts and rivalries. And I always say, three countries, Russia, China, India, if they come on same page, then US will be nothing in front of this trio of power. So that's why, as the saying goes, a nation can pick its friends but not its neighbors, and we are bound in this condition that we improve in our relations and we take this engagement further. Next issue, Mukul Sawal talks about a unique opportunity and some unique questions also, that do we understand China properly, and as we claim that we understand US, do we claim the same thing about China? That we need to be clear about. More understanding will lead to better policies and better foreign policy there, and better engagement. So implicit questions are there, and the Western ideas and institutions, they always try to seek their legitimate space in global rules. Means the Western dominance have been there always. These institutions were dominant, but now the Asian rise is happening, and China is the leader there. Obviously, we have to accept the fact that the hegemony is certainly there, but it does not mean that we are lowering our confidence. We are having our own unique position that is rising, and we will reach at the top in upcoming decades there. if we will keep rising. So those rules are breaking now, and these two countries, India and China, they are going in their respective paths, and you cannot say that they are on a divergent paths. It is not like that. We have our civilizational history, we have our own oriental ways, as the English people said about us, and we are rising with our own unique ways, where we have protected our cultures, our values we have preserved, and still we are rising with a very fast pace. We have not altered everything like the Western countries, where totally capitalistic ways became the part of civilization. That is not something being done here. Now, China's unique roadmap. What China did today? China focuses on two important goals: eliminating poverty by 2021 and establishing an advanced socialist nation by 2049. And China can certainly do that because it has managed its domestic issues very, very well. But have we done that? China has a tool which will take it from that middle class trap to the path of becoming strongest nation and becoming the very advanced socialistic nation. That's an ambitious goal, and that tool is the Belt and Road Initiative. Do we have those kind of plans? Why we do not have? Because we have not solved our domestic situations very, very well. We have not managed our populations. We are talking about the demography and demographic dividend there, but are we really reaping the benefit of the demographic dividend? Are we managing these issues very efficiently? No. Where we are stuck? What are our major debates nationally? If we see the list of these media houses where the major populations of these countries are engaged, these are religious issues, nonsensical, provocative concerns which are never leading us to the progressive path there. But China had managed this issue. China allocated majority of its rural population to the urban areas, and it knew that if these will be skilled, then we will be ruling this world, and that thing they are enjoying today. And whatever they did in 70s, 80s and 90s, we did not do that, and that's why we are way behind that. First thing that they did, defined growth in terms of both GDP and per capita income. It knew that if people will not be rich before they get old, then we can never achieve our goals. So when they are capable, when they are young, they should be very much progressive, and they must achieve that progress. So foreign exchange reserve, today they have over $3 trillion, and we boast of our $450 billion. That's something not appropriate. And the kind of things we see on our media, whenever some issue comes that we are threatening China there, and China is all afraid, and we are the global power. These all false informations, misconceptions, and to derail other important topics, and to confuse the populations, and to give falsified glorification to this country. That's really, really objectionable, because what we need to do, that should be very, very clear. If you are not performing well in your studies, you may be good, you may be improving, but if you are not reaching up to that level where you are achieving great grades, and practically you need to study there for 10 hours a day. But if somebody would tell you that you just need to study 2 hours a day, or you do not need to study at all, because your image is great there, you have improved a lot, and all other students from the class, they are afraid of your performance there. So it's a false glorification, and it's a false satisfaction that you are giving to the student, or you are giving to yourself. So that is why whatever we need to achieve, that must be very, very clear. And these nonsensical issues, the nonsensical media of this country, that is really destroying us. That is not helping us anyway in managing our domestic affairs. Otherwise, we need these things today, because when we will be clear about these domestic issues, and our middle class will be rising with a very fast pace, and we will be able to reap that advantage of demographic dividend, then only we can bring great plans like Belt and Road Initiative. China has this plan today that will make it the global icon there, but we are not the global icon there. We may be boasting of many achievements, but today in reality our capacity is not that much, and that's felt everywhere. Okay, so we may be very much positive, we may be confident, but we cannot be assured of our success. We are on a path there, but China managed these issues very well. And the situation of India today, the kind of youth that we are observing today, distressed, hopeless, out of the jobs, unskilled, engaged in nonsensical religious political issues, and the inclination and the interest is towards these nonsensical things. And I'm talking about the majority of the population in the states, in the villages there, where most of these are located. So how we can manage our affairs? How we can expect that we will grow like China? Do you know what China did? China raised its middle class income from 1998 to 2008 about 70%. How much US did? Just 4%. China 70%. You just imagine. And how much we did? These are laughable numbers. So this was the phase where we do not know much about China, that how China kept its secrecy and how it was growing. But it was certainly growing secretly in these 2 decades. What we did and what we are doing today, we are doing a lot of advertisements about India. We are doing a lot of great talks about India, that everything is good, everything is great in this country, and we are progressing with a very fast pace. But is this a reality? We need to achieve a lot. We need to be very much controlled in our speeches, in our advertisement, in our boasting. But here we are doing that thing at the best, but real progress we are not doing according to our expectations. But what China did, it remained silent for 20-25 years, and now it is showing its all powers. So it was isolated from other countries' disturbances, but we are inviting a lot of disturbances there. Second, China realized the importance of infrastructure in both supporting economic activity and well-being in cities. Construction accelerated from 2000 year, and it was the fastest pace of construction and the real estate growth. Cement revolution, steel revolution, electricity generation revolution, it did. And just within 10 to 15 years, it made tremendous progress there. But what happened in India, although we made a lot of progress and that is going on, but if we compare the situation with China, then how much progress we have made? With the blow of demonetization, the construction sector, the real estate sector was the most hit sector, and the whole growth was shattered, and till date it could not get a recovery from that blow. So this is something that we are going through, and we need something different, and we are taking steps in some different way. So there is a mismatch, and if we compare the situation with China's rise, then we get a clarity there. Third, China's choice of development pathway used much less natural resources than the West. Although many allegations are there, and it has exploited the nature a lot of pollution it has done in its cities. But if you compare the situation with US, then certainly it has not exploited that much. Okay, and we are also having similar models. We are not also polluting that much, but we are rising there. But with the pace of rise is very less. Fourth, Chinese have become global technology leaders intelligently, not just stealthily. We focused on IITs and the nuclear areas, space areas during the Nehruvian phase. Suppose if we would not have taken those steps, today what we would have to show to the world? We are a leader because the world knows us. Our diaspora in countries like America, they are telling the story of India and how talented India is. If we would not have IITs, then there would have been no diaspora in America there. There would have been no intelligent engineers and managers there. So it was all the decision making of Nehruvian age. But today we are criticizing everything there. That's really shameful. You see, China made investment in the nuclear energy, nuclear plants, high-speed trains. But when we did these things in 1950s, we were heavily criticized. But we are reaping the benefits of all these things in the areas of nuclear plants, in the areas of PSUs, in the areas of manufacturing, in the areas of industries. We did a lot. But the phase after that, that was really problematic. After 60s, we did nothing in comparison to China, and China did a lot. and that's why it is reaching the benefits. Huawei is the company global leader in 5G technology and the cheapest one. Countries are bound to buy its technology there. And the national goal of global leadership in artificial intelligence. China is the real global icon there. We are not. Certainly we are not. And we are not doing serious enough for this growth there. And today China has done something seriously great, and that's why the rifts are there with US there. The real competition is there with US. And where we have competition, can we compete with Chinese companies? Can we compete with American companies there? A clear no. Our domestic manufacturing is really weak. So these are all negative things, but this is something that we are looking in the mirror. This is something very real, and we need to improve on all these areas. Then only we can expect of something really great and becoming a superpower. Otherwise we will be trapped in this middle income trap where China was trapped, but now with this issue of Belt and Road Initiative, it is taking big leaps there, but we won't be able to take these big leaps. Today we are not even stuck in this stage. We have not even reached up to that level, and the huge level of poverty is there. China has pledged to end its poverty within 2 years, next 2 years. Means by 2021 it will end the poverty there, and it will be establishing itself as a powerful socialist state in next 30 years. Can we make these kind of goals for us? Even we have shed the ways of planning there. There is no more planning in our country. So the accountability factor is weakening with the time. Where is the accountability there? So that's why this is not something that China did, and this is not something like China we are doing here. So thought of getting out of the middle income trap is now in the Communist Party of China, and they are going with a goal there. In India, politics is not an enabler. It's a destructive hindrance in its progress. The kind of dirty politics is there, and the kind of present phase in this country, the most destructive one. What is our politics? It's based on mandir, masjid, religion, and the mob lynchers, what not we are observing in this country. And this country is actually responding to these nonsenses, where we should be engaged in high level technological, scientific and developmental issues. Every day we are discussing religion there. So what we can expect in terms of growth? So that's why it's a important issue. China is also struggling with the unemployment situation, but it is taking robust steps there. It is investing $30 billion in a research center in Wuhan. This is something that we need to do. What we are doing, even whatever employment we had, our youth they had, that is diminishing, and additional pressures of artificial intelligence, robotics and the machine learning, these are there. So more unemployment we will see. So this is something really not good. We need to be improving in these areas where China improved a lot, and we have to learn a lot from China there. And rivalry is different, but the respect for their achievement must be there, and that is how we will be improving in our relation, and the collaboration will be there. And certainly these leaders, they have a huge responsibility there, and a positive way they should adopt there. So this is something really important. So we will meet again tomorrow with the issues. Tomorrow is Sunday, and in the evening lesson please attend that session, and important questions we will discuss. Thanks a lot. Keep watching.